Hey, you all right, mate? How you doing? Just waiting for a few more people to join. They might not though. Do you know what I mean? It's a funny time. Funny time. Mm, a bit of coffee. Bet that sounds nice, doesn't it? Right. Let's give it a couple more minutes. I'll get this ready. This makes for great viewing for anybody watching this after the fact, but I will give it another 15, 20 seconds or so. Then I'll get going. Oh, mate, I know. Right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get this recording. Right, hello everyone. Yep, welcome back to Rule the Roost podcast. It's an interesting one, isn't it? An interesting one going into this Wolves game. I think, do you know what? I reckon I must start so many of these pods by saying it's an interesting one. Football is generally interesting. That's why we're all obsessed with it, right? It's interesting, it's exciting, it's chaos. That's what we love about football, chaos. I went on a fairly impassioned rant in the pod the other day with Phil, talking about VAR, what it's stripping from the game, especially the game for us proper football men, right? Proper football people. Let's be correct when we say that. It's 2023, nearly 2024 as well. So the Wolves game, yes, Jack, you raise a point that it may well be an interesting game. It's going to be interesting because Tottenham have had probably, I would say, the worst week I can remember in a really long time. It felt like there was a lot of fate tempted by the likes of myself and many other people when we were talking about everything seemingly going our way this season. Lots of things falling into place for us. Results elsewhere going our way, little instances 50-50s in games going our way, injuries going our way. And now it really feels like everything has come back to haunt us, right? Billy T on Twitter earlier said that you really can't get past the feeling that Spurs are part of some intergalactic, whatever prank, basically that's we're the victim of. Tottenham fans are, and obviously there's been parallels there drawn to practical joker. What is it? Impractical jokers. God, just turning into a dad already. Impractical jokers and the likes of like Ant and Dex thing when they say, right, go on, now tell them that they might win the league. Feels like, it's all come back to haunt us a bit this week. Big injuries. Mickey van der Ven out to the new year. James Maddison, we've just found out today, out until the new year. Richarlison's undergone surgery for his pubis, as he said, in his own words. It's going to be tough, but is all hope lost? I don't think so. I think what I would say is, right, what I'm going to say up front is the can we, will we stuff. I think that I think that probably needs to take a bit of a back seat now. If it ever should have taken a front seat, I don't know. But we all had a laugh, didn't we, doing that? I think it does probably need to take a bit of a back seat now because I feel like what we're going to have is maybe in the coming months, and this isn't to be pessimistic, this isn't to be negative, right? This is just to say maybe a bit of a reality check. It's going to be a harsh reality check, but maybe a bit of a reality check. The reality check being that for us to battle our way into the top five, once the season is done, 38 games are done, if we've battled our way into the top five, really we've had a magnificent season. We lost Harry Kane in summer. It's a new manager, new project, lots of young players, right? we don't have any divine right to the title. I'm not going to go completely revise what I said. It did feel like an opportunity for a while. It felt that if we could have kept our starting 11 completely fit, completely firing, I'm not saying we would have won the title, but I feel like we could have been in with a sneaky chance of getting something. I'm not. I don't really think that that was a minuscule chance as it was, right? I think right now that that's off the table. I think we probably have to be upfront with that, right? And just say top five is a really good season for Spurs where we are now in this project, all that type of thing, right? It's going to be good. We are still going to have to fight hard for that. And we're going to, I mean, the players are definitely going to have to fight hard now. Losing a player like Van der Ven, who is so perfectly suited to this system, this aggressive, ultra expansive style of football that Ange Postecoglou deploys, the high line, especially. We saw what happened against Chelsea, albeit we did have 9 men in that game. So, I think we can only, I think probably, look, the fair result in that one is we lose 2-1. It went a bit mad, didn't it? And we lost 4-1, but it didn't. I think the reason why it hasn't felt as gutting, the result hasn't felt as gutting as a result like that to Chelsea normally would, is because, let's be honest, it didn't feel like a 4-1, right? It didn't feel like a 4-1. So the question is now is who is gonna line up for us, right? In this, with especially with Van der Ven out, you would imagine there's been some talk about Højbjerg maybe filling in at centre back as he did against Chelsea. Personally speaking, and he did a very good job. I'm not taking anything away from him, but personally speaking, I can't see Ange going into a game, any game, playing a player out of position if he doesn't have to. Ashley Phillips has been training with the squad all week. There was talk even before this period. There were sort of, things coming out from the sort of training ground and stuff that he's highly rated by Ange. Ange really likes him. He's made a good impression at his time in the club so far. I think it'll be him, right? It'll be him and Dyer starting at the back. Porro's done a tweet this afternoon saying that he'll see us tomorrow. That's good, but it's a bit worrying. Like, we're kind of in this position because we've been playing players when they haven't been fully fit. Porro, you would imagine, will be playing through a bit of a knock. He's not 100%. But I guess that's where we're at right now. Emerson Royale maybe at left back, or maybe Ben Davies, who I think is in a fairly similar position to Pedro Porro, in that we might have to play him, but he isn't completely fit, right? So I guess we're going to see. But I mean, it's a real. I think the thing that's most annoying about this is, I mean, yeah, okay. It's stopped me maybe having this fanciful daydream that we might challenge for the league, right? And that's a shame. It's nice to have that joy. It's nice to have a bit of a, ridiculous escape in life, right? We most things in life keep us horribly grounded constantly all the time. Switch on the news and that'll do that to you, right? But I think the thing that's disappointing about it is it's just annoying to see especially seeing a young player like Micky van der Ven get a pretty horrible injury, and for him to have to sit out, for it to stunt his development. We've seen what happens to young players when they get, fairly sizable injuries. Thankfully, touch words, hasn't been like an ACL or something like that, but still, a bad hammy is not good for a player, especially one that's as physical, as fast as he is. That relies on his physicality as a big part of his game. So that's a shame. It's a shame to see his momentum, his growth, his progress halted by injury. The other thing that I guess is just annoying about this is that what we're going to have now is, if we do lose to Wolves, which is a possibility, I'll say up front, personally speaking, I don't really feel like we're going to lose this game. That's where I'm at right now. I don't look at this and feel completely doom and gloom. I don't feel like, we've got Wolves on the horizon. What the hell are we going to do? It's definitely going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we're going to go there and take the piss at Le Molyneux. It's a tough place to go. They've got some good players. Pedro Neto's out, which is a big plus for us. But still, ask Man City. Wolves well, I mean, ask us. They've beaten us plenty of times in the sort of recent times, haven't they? So, it's by no means a walkover. What I'm saying though is I just don't feel like we're going to lose this, and we might. I'm just saying, just my gut feeling is I don't think we're going to lose. Um, and it is going to be interesting to see. Darren in the comments has just said, "I'm actually excited to see how Ange deals with the injuries," and I sort of know what you're saying, Darren. I do kind of know what you mean. It's look, I mean, it's drawing a positive from a massive negative, right? That's the way I would look at it. I wouldn't say I'm excited in the sense that I want to see Spurs forced into a position that's even more difficult than being in the Premier League, competing at the top end of the Premier League already is, right? I mean, that's challenge enough, even with our full strength 11. The Premier League's a tough league, toughest league in the world, right? As people say. And I mean, it is. Come on, let's be honest. Let's be honest. There's at least 5 teams in the Premier League that would probably win most other European leagues, I would say. I would say City, Arsenal, Liverpool, 3, definitely, almost definitely, I would say we win the Italian, French, German, Dutch. They'd make a good fist of the Spanish league as well, right? So Spurs, I reckon, would make a good fist of several of those. Even someone like Newcastle would probably make a good fist of several of those. I would say Man United, but we've seen what Man United are like nowadays. So I mean, the thing is that I digress, and that's why you listen to this right by now. I'm sure it's been years of this now, and you know what to expect. I do know. Back to Darren's point, I get what he means. It is interesting to see how a manager like Ange Postecoglou deals with this level of adversity. It would have been, better if it was a little bit less adversity, maybe just dealing with Romero having a red card for today. How do we deal with that? How does Dyer play alongside Van der Ven? But here we are. Our entire back line is pretty much done, isn't it? So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It it's a tough one, isn't it? But I mean, look, this is a guy who now he's on a hat trick of Manager of the Month awards, right? 3 in a row now. 3 in a row in his opening 3 months in the Premier League. This is a guy who, a lot of the conversation has been about how naive Ange Postecoglou has been. And I'm not sure who it was that said it. One of the journos or somebody said on Twitter this week, actually, it's a really disrespectful thing to say of a guy who has managed in various different countries, won the league of, various different nations, has won a lot of silverware to this date. To start calling him naive is pretty ridiculous. And as Phil made the point on the Thursday pod, that Ange said, I think it was of Barcelona, wasn't it? He said, we were losing 3-0 in one game, but they carried on playing in the way that I wanted them to play. And at that point, I knew I had them. Look, if this 4-1 the other day, 9 men, is us still playing his way, I mean, he's definitely got them, right? He's definitely got the lads. So he doesn't need to worry about that. And we can look, yes, it is trying to take a positive from a massive negative, but we can also hopefully look at this as being some kind of galvanizing event for this team, for this squad, for some of these, players who are on the periphery of the squad to step up, to try and impress, to say, I want a part of this. I want a piece of this. They're seeing how exciting this Ange project is. They're seeing that I'm pretty sure that he's a guy that would operate a meritocracy. I feel that he's a guy that isn't going to allow these players to play their hearts out, play their socks off, and then the second somebody else is available, drop them. Look at Sarr and Bentancur. Bentancur is, yes, coming back from the nastiest injury a football player can have, pretty much. But other managers, our previous 2 main managers, shall we say, they would have put in Bentancur straight away as soon as he was available. They would have binned off Sarr, put in Bentancur immediately. Ange hasn't done that. I would imagine, number one, because Bentancur is, slowly coming back from this injury that he's received. But equally, I think he does respect a lot of what Sarr has done. And this is a bit of mind reading. This is podcaster being podcaster. I'm going to guess what a manager is thinking or feeling. But everything we know of the bloke, everything that he's said to us, the way he's spoken about this type of stuff in the past, you feel that he will have been impressed by Sarr. And I know Sarr's got some critics, and I still don't fully get it. But this is a young guy who has stepped into his, position in the Premier League, has claimed it. He's worked his arse off every single time he's played. I think he's maybe had one half where he's had a bit of a dud half, and then which game I can't remember exactly which game that was in. But I remember him having a sort of iffy first half, and then second half coming out and looking brilliant again. So you just got to hope that back to the sort of original point is that you got to hope that Ange is going to be having this galvanizing effect on these players on the outside. If a Brian Hill steps in, if someone like Kulusevski steps in, and this is another interesting talking point. I said on Twitter earlier, or X, what do we do now with Madders out? Do we move Kulusevski to the middle and have Johnson and Hill playing either side of him? Personally, I kind of feel that's what I'd want to see. A few other people have agreed with that. A few other people have said that's creating even more variables. That's creating a even bigger changes in the squad. Maybe we should drop Lo Celso into Maddison's place because he's the closest like-for-like player with Maddison. Yeah, maybe. If Lo Celso's shown enough in training, if Lo Celso's shown enough of a positive attitude, but everything we've heard from there is that Lo Celso wants to get out. He doesn't want to wait his turn. He doesn't, he hasn't made that good of an impression. So do we drop him in, or do we try somebody like Kulusevski, who a lot of us have said, a lot of people have said, it would be great to see Kulusevski playing that number 10 role, right? Now that we've got the opportunity to do that, I don't know, maybe give it a go. Hacker BLCPS says give it to Hill, which, yeah, maybe Hill as a number 10. That could maybe work as well. Could maybe work. Does he need? I don't know. I'm just saying. Does he need a bit more physicality to operate in a central role? Is there maybe a bit more leniency? Can he get by a little bit more? We've seen, and I think it's a bit overstated, but we have seen he's quite slight, isn't he? He gets kind of pushed about fairly easily. Will that be further exploited if he plays in the center of the park? Is there a bit more room for him to do his stuff if he's playing out wide? I don't know. Either way, I think that Hill is a good player. I'm in that camp. Like, I like the look of Hill. I've liked him every time he's come on the pitch. I'm interested to see more from him, and why not chuck him in? He's a variable. He can be exciting. And I think that's one of the main things we've seen from him, right? Every time he's come on the pitch, I feel anyway, he's always been quite exciting. He's always looked like he's going to pick the ball up and do something with it, make something happen. So time is now. Time is now. We need a hero, don't we? We need a hero. But we got one, haven't we? Ange Postecoglou, 3 times Manager of the Month awards. It's pretty special. I mean, if people are talking about Manager of the Month being a curse, we've the 3 times curse. It kind of really feels like that's what we're being hit with right now, doesn't it? But Ange has had his press conference today. Here's a few key lines that he said. He has obviously confirmed that both James Maddison and Micky van der Ven will be out until the new year. He said with Micky, we knew it would be fairly significant. With Madders, it is a lot worse than we thought. Now, there seems to be a few indications coming out that James Maddison has been playing on like a niggling injury, and it's turned out to be some sort of ligament damage. It's quite concerning, really, because we've had a similar thing with Sonny in the past. We've apparently got a similar thing with Richarlison now. And I imagine this isn't a Spurs thing. I imagine this is the Premier League. I imagine this is the Premier League being a massive business, a huge enterprise, every single club being, multi-million pound like entities. In the case of, when you're in Spurs' strata, multi-billion pound enterprises, industries, whatever you want to say. I'm getting myself tongue-tied now. And James Maddison's a huge part in that. James Maddison's a massively, influential player. He's pivotal to much of what we do, especially in the attacking third. If the physio team are speaking with him, he's saying, look, yep, it's a bit sore, but I've had worse. I think it's just one of those things, isn't it? Everyone's probably taken a collective gamble on it, and that's backfired. And that's a massive shame, because Madders is been one of the absolute revelations of this season. Been an absolute joy to watch. He's been absolutely superb. And yeah, the thought of him not being available for months is pretty galling, isn't it? But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. He said he's hopeful that Richarlison will be out for about a month after he's gone under his planned groin surgery. We've got a couple of weeks now, haven't we? International break. So, that'll soften that blow a bit. Richarlison, look, I'll say obviously, I'm not, I'm not glad that he's out or anything, but what I'm saying is it's not as big an impact as Van de Ven or James Maddison. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. Richarlison has been struggling for the past couple of years now. Hopefully, this surgery will help him get back on track, help him become more of the player that I think most of us know that he can be, and he's showed that he can be in the past. Let's just hope it's not another roadblock to him achieving his kind of, showing his best at Spurs. It will be interesting to see what his Tottenham career looks like. I kind of am probably more on the pessimistic side of that. I'm not too hopeful that Richarlison is ever going to be Spurs' hero, but hopefully we can, if we do part ways with him, hopefully still get a bit of money from him. So it'd be good to see him come back fit and firing and show something of, what he can be, even if it's in a kind of shop window capacity. That sounds really cold. I know that sounds really cold, but whatever. I'm a bad bastard. He's also said that he has confirmed that Ben Davies is available. I think he's about 50-50. He said that the injuries will not precipitate knee-jerk transfers in January. We have a fair few games between now and then, and that's my focus. John Long, Johan Lange, if that's how it's pronounced, is in the building now, and he will get all of the information. We have had only one window to build our team, so there was always a plan for January, the summer, and beyond. Now, David Ornstein has come out this week, hasn't he, as well, and said that Spurs don't have any money. This all very minimal amounts of money this January. Look, I mean, this is what we heard all summer, and we spent a fair amount, didn't we? I don't think any club is going to be briefing the press saying, yeah, we got loads to spend, actually. That's just not. It's not a shrewd bit of business, that, is it? Hey, selling clubs. Yeah, no, we're minted, actually. We got loads. So, stick an extra 10 mil on every single player that we approach you for. I don't take much from that, really. Let's just wait and see. Let's not get wound up about something before we need to. Look, if we come through this January and we haven't bought anybody, I'll be upfront. I will be livid. I will be annoyed. The squad needs reinforcements. We need more depth. Ticket prices keep going up. Stadiums sold out all the time. There's plenty of concerts. There's plenty of NFL games. All the stuff that we said previously, right? There's no excuse. There is no excuse for a club the size of Tottenham Hotspur to not be spending money every transfer window. There just isn't. That's how it is now. Like I say, we're a multi-billion-pound enterprise now, and it doesn't wash anymore. It doesn't wash. Huge new stadium, loads of commercial events going on in there, fans who are spending absolutely crap loads every single match day. It just doesn't wash. Doesn't wash anymore. So, yeah. But I'm not getting wound up yet about it because I feel that the fact that we've assembled this big scouting team, this scouting network, if you like, is a positive sign. It shows you that we are thinking about transfers. It shows you that we're thinking about bolstering the squad. It shows you that we're thinking about making smart acquisitions. Doesn't mean that we have. When I say this stuff, it doesn't mean that I'm thinking we have to go out in January and spend 200 million pounds. And I want us to try and get Mbappe because Madrid have said they're not interested in him anymore, right? I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Actually, imagine that if in January we got Mbappe in, right? I mean, give it a go. Actually, now I say that, I'm not expecting it. I am expecting that now, because I think he'd work very well in this Ange Postecoglou system. I mean, I know people are going to say, right, he's got a big ego and it might imbalance the side, but I think we could make space for Kylian Mbappe at Tottenham Hotspur in this Ange Postecoglou system, right? I'm pretty sure we could do that. He said Ange Postecoglou has gone on to say that he was disappointed with the result on an unusual night against Chelsea. The first 20 minutes was probably the best we've played all season, but then a couple of moments where we lost our discipline. I think he's atting you, Romero. Turned the game on its head. I mean, he said a couple of moments, so Romero and Udogie, I guess. The supporters appreciated the efforts of the players, and it was another opportunity for us to grow as a group and as a club. I mean, well played to supporters, everyone in the ground. I thought that was fantastic. Don't listen to people saying it's Tim Pot and all this type of thing. It's great. Anybody knows how miserable the past few years has been as a Spurs fan. And yes, I know people are going to say you don't support Lincoln, your club's not going to be, gone into non-existence. It's all relative. Right? When the eyes of pretty much the nation are on your club and calling you bottle jobs and laughing at your every move, it does carry with it a fairly unique sense of pain that I think, great, well done. You support a conference national club. Good on you. But, we support Tottenham Hotspur and this pain is, ours. So whatever. Leave us alone. Start having a go at us. Everyone. Do you know what I mean? It always is. Everything. We're too good to feel annoyed about things going wrong for us, or we're too shit to be, happy about. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Leave us alone. Just leave us alone. Let's just enjoy football, can't we? We're not even allowed to enjoy Ange anymore. Have you seen it? It's been a whole week-long diatribe from Arsenal fans and the like, all going on about how he's actually a scumbag and digging out these old. They dug. I mean, they're pathetic. They dug out this old Celtic interview. So all these Arsenal accounts digging out this old Celtic interview, like press conference when he said something about the referee, blah blah blah. It was something so minor, something absolutely nothingy, and they're running with this at like, see, everyone's having a go at Arteta, but he does it as well. Just bore off, innit? Just absolutely bore off. Some updates, some team news on this. Wolves winger Pedro Neto remains sidelined with a hamstring issue. I mean, come on, that's evening it out a bit. And that's a player I'd very much like to see us sign. But I mean, that's ridiculous money for him, isn't it? We're talking 70, 100 mil or something. I think he's more of a Man City type buy, isn't it? Bit of concerning chat that Arsenal are after him as well. But yeah, he'd be nice to have in this Ange team. Defender Hugo Bueno. His brother Kinder's quite good, actually. Has recovered from his own hamstring problem, while Joe Hodge is the only long-term absentee. Here we go. Here's a good one about Tottenham. Tottenham will be without the suspended Christian Romero and Destiny Udogie, while fellow defender Micky van der Ven is out with a hamstring injury. Midfielder James Maddison could be out until the new year with a serious ankle injury, and Richarlison is recovering from minor groin pubis surgery. Defender Ben Davies will return to the squad after recovering from an ankle injury. Here's a few interesting facts for you. Head to head, Wolves are seeking successive home league wins against Spurs for the first time since a run of 3 between 1964 and 1968. Wolves used to be a proper banging team, didn't they? Proper banging team. I remember I used to have I mean, this is showing my age. I remember my first games console, I had an old Sega Master System, and I had this game, I think it was like called like Kickoff Kickoff 94 or Kickoff or something like that. And I remember it always used to really annoy me because Spurs weren't in the game. But teams like Wolverhampton Wanderers and West Bromwich Albion were. And I remember complaining to my dad about it. My dad was he'd always go on about, oh, Wolves, West Brom, they used to be really good teams. They did, absolutely magnificent teams. And there's like a sort of 8-year-old me thinking, what? I don't care. Like, Wolves are things that live in woods, aren't they? Like, not a football team. Plays in this kind of weird gold kit. I'm not interested in all that. But yeah, apparently Wolves used to be a really good team, but still, they weren't good enough to beat us in the UEFA Cup, were they? First, the inaugural UEFA Cup. I think I've said this before on the podcast, but it was basically in like 2022 when I found out that Spurs won the first ever UEFA Cup, which I just found pretty mad. It was one of those just bits, one of those like facts that completely escaped. And I feel like I've got a fairly decent kind of knowledge if you know your history and all that. And I feel like I've got fairly decent Spurs knowledge, fairly decent Spurs sort of encyclopedic knowledge. There's a couple of people who are way out in front. I mean, there's many, but there's two I will call off the top of my head. Billy T literally is like Spurs Google. I know he's like the funny tweet man, like the very funny tweet man. I'm not saying that as like the funny tweet man. You know what I'm saying? He does very funny tweets. But if you actually ask Billy about stuff to do with Tottenham, or if you ask him, what was that game where something happened? He will just be like, yeah, this. And he will even be able to send you a link to like, where, if you say, you remember when whatever player had a meltdown or something, he'll somehow have a link or something. He's Tottenham Google. It's mad. Also, Fighting Cock's felonious filth. Felonious filth. He's got a mad encyclopedic knowledge of football. Like, just especially Tottenham results, seasons, all that type of stuff down in the data, in the numbers. It's mad. Spurs Simpson says he remembers Kickoff as well. Well, yeah, but he says he preferred Sensible Soccer. Kickoff was like the rip-off of Sensible Soccer, wasn't it? Do you know what? I tell you what I found really hard about Sensible Soccer, though, was the way you had to like move around the ball. Because like the ball, it was actually a challenge, right? It wasn't just, the ball wasn't just like magnetized to the player's feet like it is basically in all football games now, to make them more accessible, to make them more arcadey, to make them more fun. I always remember in Sensible Soccer, it was really quite hard to sort of dribble. It was actually a challenge. You had to really practice and do it. It was good. It was rewarding when you got good at it. And I also remember I used to like the little dotted line for when you wanted to chip a shot, when it would expand like a little, yeah, it's good. Anyway, that was good fun. More head-to-head facts. Tottenham have won 5 of their 9 Premier League visits to Molineux. Wow. Drawn 2, lost 2, with 9 of the 18 Premier League meetings being won by the away side. So we've won 5 of 9 Premier League visits, okay, and then we've lost 2, drawn 2. That's pretty good. That's way better than I thought it would be. And I know Wolves have been a bit of a yo-yo team in the Premier League years, so maybe it shouldn't have been much of a surprise, but I've always had Wolves down as a bit of a bogey team. I have done. So, yeah, no, apparently not. A few facts about Wolves going into this one. Their only league win in the past 6 games at Molineux came against reigning champions Manchester City in September. We know that one. Wolves have scored in 12 successive top-flight home matches since a 1-0 loss to Gary O'Neill's Bournemouth in February. However, they've only kept 1 clean sheet in their past 14 Premier League fixtures. I think Sonny's going to maybe get a couple. I think Sonny's going to be the man in this game. I think he's going to step up. That's my sort of prediction. Wolves have won their previous 5 Premier League home games against London opposition without conceding. That's a bit annoying. Hwang Hee-chan is vying to become the 4th player to score in each of his club's opening 6 Premier League home matches, Wow, emulating Alan Shearer at Blackburn and Les Ferdinand with Newcastle in 95-96, and then Thierry Henry for Arsenal in 04-05. The South Korean has either scored or assisted in his past 5 top flight appearances. I mean, he is a player, isn't he? Like, he seems like an absolute a baller. That's the term now, isn't it? A baller. Baller's always been the funny thing is, isn't it? Like, people sort of treat words like they knew. I've always heard the term baller, but it's always been more commonly associated with basketball, right? But now sort of baller, I think it's social media, isn't it, and everything has become it's sort of bled into football, and people say baller. He's a baller. I don't actually mind it, you know. I don't actually find it an offensive term. I think people often kind of I feel a bit cringy saying it, right? Do you know what I mean? I'm a man in my late 30s, so I do kind of feel a bit, you know. I'm not calling him a wavy baller or anything like that, am I? I like that. If a player's playing badly, I love the term whiffy baller, like absolutely whiffy baller. It's a good one. It's a good one. But yeah, baller. He is a baller. Here's some Tottenham Hotspur match facts. Tottenham are unbeaten in 7 top flight away games, winning 5 and drawing 2. Go on, you Spurs. Spurs are aiming to register 3 successive Premier League away victories for the first time since a run of 4 between September and November 2020 under Jose Mourinho. The North Londoners have won all 6 of their league matches this season against sides currently in the bottom half of the table, with 4 of those coming away from home. That's it, Bully FC, aren't we? Absolute Bully FC. Ange Postecoglou's side have received 34 cards in the top flight this season. What? 34 cards? I mean, well, yeah, I guess Basuma's got about 5, hasn't he? 4, 5, 6. Jesus. With 31 yellows and 3 reds. Only Wolves with 38 and Chelsea with 36 have collected more. I mean, there you go. Son Heung-min has failed to score in 9 previous Premier League appearances against Wolves. Well, there goes my little prediction, doesn't it, that he's going to score a brace. No, I don't think it does. I'm backing Sonny here. I'm absolutely backing Sonny to do the business in this one. He's our captain now. I think he's going to step up. I think he's going to rise to the challenge. I said I don't see us losing, and I don't. It's very hard to predict this one because we don't know how ready Ashley Phillips is if he plays. I'm going to guess. Right, I am going to guess. Ben Davies will start on the left. Porro will start on the right, and it'll be Phillips and Dyer in the middle, right? If Davies isn't playing too well, Emerson Royale will rotate in. And I think probably the same with Phillips or Dyer. Højbjerg might step in for either of those two if it doesn't seem to be going well. But I think we will start Davies, Phillips, Dyer, Porro. And it's hard to say how those lads are going to do. It's helpful that they got Vicario, who is obscene, an absolutely obscene goalkeeper. You know, we're talking one of the best in the Premier League for certain, for sure. So that's a big positive. I just like I can't say we're going to win. I don't know. Let's say 2-2. Let's say 2-2 on this one. I think so. And if if proven wrong in a positive sense, great, fantastic. But yeah, I think it's an interesting. As I said, let's end this pod where it started. It's an interesting one. This one, it is an interesting one. And it's hard to really know what's going on, right? It's hard to get past initially the anguish that we're feeling that we're just so, it's like being in the upside down world of Stranger Things, isn't it? Like we've suddenly stepped through the looking glass. Are there any other analogies? What else is there where there's some sort of dual existence in anything? we're in just this sort of bizarro world now where Spurs have gone from being this exciting, can they, will they win the league side to now a side that looks like it's got barely any squad depth and we're struggling to get a starting 11 together, which is mad. It is worst scenario stuff that's come to life. It's come true. But look, that's where we are. Let's deal with it. We're enjoying Spurs. We've enjoyed this journey so far. It's not worth getting doom and gloom about it. It's worth putting faith into the man that's given us this kind of joy so far, Ange Postecoglou. I mean, and James Maddison is part of that, and can't put much faith in him at the moment, can we? We can put faith in him to recover swiftly. But Ange Postecoglou, let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do with the hand that he's been dealt now, because that's what he's done his whole career, isn't it? He's done what he can do with the hand that he's dealt, and he's always a success with it. So, unless the Tottenham curse is seriously very, very strong, then you know, let's let's see. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the game, other than Wolves fans. Bright and early, bright and breezy. If you're going to the game, good on you. Stay safe. Enjoy Wolverhampton. I mean, I doubt you'll be doing much there, will you? You'll just be coming back on the train or driving back. Anyway, whatever. Waffling now. Thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Come on, you Spurs.